Morning, peoples of the interwebs. I ran into an issue this morning. It's Sunday morning, about 48, 50 degrees outside, raining. It's kind of crappy. Just out having some coffee. Sunday's always gun day. Do a little shooting later of a few builds. But the main point of this video was I ordered another Ranger-proof trigger. This one was the Lone Ranger, or Long Ranger, and I've used them before, and I've had really good luck with them. I like them. Almost no pre-travel. Like out of the box, it's probably one of the shortest pre-travels I've ever ran across. But they don't sell it with a trigger bar, to the best of my knowledge. They sell it as the trigger shoe, and you have to install it on your trigger bar. And the build I'm working on right now, it's just a polymer80 PF40 V2 full size, black Safiri 17 slide barrel. And I thought, since it had the gold barrel, I'd go with something with a gold trigger shoe on it. And yeah, so I ordered this guy. Now I do have a couple P80 parts kits laying around. This is P80 trigger shoe, and I just took the trigger bar off of it, and I went to put it in the Lone Ranger, or the Long Ranger, I'm sorry, and it wouldn't work. And the reason it wouldn't work, let's try to get these lined up the best I can side by side. I don't know if you can see the holes. On the polymer80 trigger bar, that hole is not centered. It's very much offset to the bottom edge, and the trigger bar itself is very fat up in this whole area. Yes, I have dirty fingernails. I've been polishing stuff. So when I went to put this thing in, the set screw was hitting at the top of the hole. And I'm trying to do this one-handed, but basically when this thing went in here, technical difficulties. I don't have a phone stand. I'm not a professional YouTuber. So when you would tighten this thing down, see the pin doesn't go all the way through like the polymer80 or your Glock style pins, but you would tighten it down and there was no way to get that thing lined up. And at first I thought, well, maybe I need to open up the hole. And before I went crazy grinding on anything, see, I even put some lube in here trying to get it to work without stripping out the Allen. So this is another build. It's a polymer80 trigger housing. It's actually a Shadow Systems trigger bar. And the last time I used the Lone Ranger, or the Long Ranger, it was an OEM Glock trigger bar. But finding OEM parts kits right now is very difficult. So whatever, long story short, I took it all apart, and I thought, yeah, let's make a little comparison video here, because this one works. And I think I'm just actually going to put it on this one anyway, and I'll put the polymer80 polymer trigger shoe back together with the polymer80 trigger bar, and probably just put that in a budget build, like a leftover parts dump, because I have a few that we've put together, some of them not put together, a couple Shadow Systems there. But anyway, I just wanted to make a quick video on that. If anybody's the take up on the Lone Ranger, I keep calling it the Lone Ranger, it's the Long Ranger. Now, I'm not a left-handed person. There's like zero take up on that. There's the wall. There's the wall. Might do a video on this later on. That's a Fairy Spectrum. She's unique to say the least. But anyway, love these. I've used 2 of them in the past, and I haven't tried the Timney trigger yet. I'm probably going to do that on my next one. Steel City Arsenal, I've got one in my favorite full size, and also in my P40 Warhawk build. These have a lot of take up on them. The reset on these is, there's your wall. I actually went past it, but that's the take up. So I like the Steel City triggers. They're a little finicky on different connectors that you use with them. That's why when I got into the Ranger-proof triggers, using the OEM trigger bar, never had an issue with them as far as this build here with the Steel City Arsenal trigger. I had to play around a lot with the connectors, and I first put a Ghost in it, and I couldn't get the trigger to drop. Tearing it apart, clean some things up, bend the connector angle on it, it'd work 3 out of 4 times. And I ended up putting a Lone Wolf connector in it because I like the 3.5 pound connectors, and had similar issues with that also. And I'm not saying it's the Steel City, they're just more finicky with connectors than other stuff using OEM parts, and that's what I really like about these. They're not going to change the trigger pull a whole lot till you get into the springs. You know, it might be a ½ pound less just based on the fulcrum points. I don't know if you can tell that or not, but the fulcrum point on this one is moved up a lot higher as far as the trigger bar to the safety, and then the trigger bar pin to the actual pivot is shorter. So anyway, quick video that turned into a really long video. If you're running any of the Ranger-proof triggers, try to stick with an OEM trigger bar. I know the Shadow Systems trigger bar works. The polymer 80s, I tore another one apart, and it's made the exact same way that this one is. It's offset towards the bottom, and I'm sure you could make it work if you ground it all down and made it like normal, but no, that's for you to judge, and that's your call, not mine. Anyway, freaking staying out. Have a good day. Keep on shooting.